Hello and welcome to the Goldfinger Report on Millennium News TV. We are here with Jenny Hansen talking about mental health and psychedelic medicine.
Hello. Thank you for having me on the show, Todd. It's really nice
Thank
to
you
be
for being here.
Of
Thank
course.
you. Thank you. Okay, let me just pause for a second. So here we are today on the Goldfinger Report, Millennium News TV special report about plant medicine and mental health. Welcome to the show,
Thank you
Jenny
for
Hansen.
having me, Todd. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So what is plant medicine to start off?
Plant medicine is our compounds that grow naturally from the earth that contain substances that alter how the mind works for a temporary time frame. I guess I can put it in as small of a nutshell as possible. So an example would be psilocybin mushrooms, ayahuasca, which is native to South America. It is comprised of a vine and a shrub. Mescaline, which is the psychedelic compound in peyote cacti, and San Pedro. So those are some examples of plant medicines.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would these plant medicines be implemented? Because I know, and probably many people are hear about Prozac and all things like this, and they just don't seem to work. So, what's going on there? With
Yeah, the antidepressants and otherwise known as SSRIs, also some anxiolytics or SNRIs, really were originally created for short-term usage. So someone who is suffering from debilitating depression or anxiety, these medications are supposed to, for a short time, a few months, help bring that person back to stability, back into a stable status. And then the idea is to wean off of those medications and provide tools, coping mechanisms for these people so they can move on into life without being on these medications for the rest of their life. But what we're seeing happening is they're prescribed these antidepressants or anxiolytics, and they're on them for 20, 30 plus years, an indefinite amount of time. And over time, we're seeing that these patients are really having negative side effects from the long-term use of these medications. Things like suicidal ideation, difficulty sleeping, motivation is decreased, overall lethargy, or just feeling like a zombie. So they really should only be used short term in most cases. And plant medicines come in where we have people who are frustrated from being on these antidepressants. They feel that they're no longer getting the effect, but the plant medicines can come in and really get to the root cause of that depression, of that anxiety, which often can be a traumatic event or events from the past or currently occurring.
Okay. Now, it sounds really excellent. So, what does a person have to do to get to try these kinds of new modalities? Because hopefully, when we pray, they come down the pike very soon.
Yeah, so currently all psychedelic substances are on the federal Schedule 1 DEA list, which means, and I'm quoting here, they have no medicinal value. It's just too bad that they make that statement. So right now, all psychedelic substances are illegal in the United States. However, in other countries, such as in South America, actually the entire continent, Central America, the substances are legal. So for example, at Heroic Hearts Project, where I work, we are a nonprofit that sends veterans struggling with PTSD to these legal ayahuasca retreats. In some cases, it's a psilocybin retreat, so mushrooms or the ayahuasca brew that's created of those two plants. And it's a shame that we have to operate that way, that we can't send them within the United States just yet, because it's just the expense and the stress of travel. But as a registered nonprofit, we really have to stay in the legal green zone, so to speak. On that note, though, we just conducted in Oregon our first psilocybin retreat. It was a pilot retreat, and in Oregon, all the psychedelic substances are legalized, still federally illegal. So it's that delicate in between area, but we really want to find a way to send these veterans to retreats in the US. It's just easier for everyone that way. So fingers crossed, as federal officials are seeing this happening with all the decriminalization movements happening within cities and states, Colorado included, that, oh, the people want these plants. The people want the psychedelic medicines because they are so beneficial for mental health when used with intention and with guidance. So that's the hope. The Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies is working hard on MDMA, which is not a plant medicine, but it is a substance that has been shown to really help with PTSD and depression and anxiety. And we're hoping for FDA approval next year on that. And I think once that door opens, I would believe the federal officials would have to say, wow, okay, this is huge. This is what the people want. Let's re-examine the scheduling system and hopefully deschedule, which will open up research opportunities and open up access for more people to consume these substances and receive the benefits.
Sounds incredible. Wow. So how can we destigmatize these plant medicines and maybe take out the scariness of what it sounds like? And the other question is, are these plant medicines for everyone?
No, they are not for everyone. They can benefit, I think, a large majority of people, but not for everyone. I'll get to the stigma question in just a moment. I want to speak a little bit more to that. There are certain mental health conditions that are contraindicated with any type of psychedelic medicine use. Dissociative identity disorder being one of them, certain cases of schizophrenia, like intermittent explosive disorder, the really, really severe mental conditions. We don't advise psychedelics for that population because of the concern of a psychotic break occurring during the ceremony. Also, there's a few physical conditions that really are contraindicated with psychedelic use, such as severe heart conditions and respiratory conditions, because most psychedelics do raise the blood pressure, can increase that anxious feeling, and which can cause breathing problems and heart problems. So beyond that, they're really pretty safe for most people as long as you have a healthy mindset and you're prepared to go into the journey. That's vital, preparation, then journey, and then you really should have some kind of integration coaching afterward to help you process that experience.
Okay, very
stigma.
Good. Yes.
Stigma. I said I would get to that. So education. Can't say it enough. We need to educate those who are unaware of psychedelics, how they can benefit mental health conditions. And I think personal testimonies are one of the most powerful ways to do that. You can't sit there and tell someone, oh, you're a liar, that didn't happen to you. It's their personal journey. And for example, the veterans that come back from Peru through Heroic Hearts Project, and their testimonials are on all our social media, and they are so powerful. And really, no one can argue with that. It is what it is. It happened to them, and they are living proof that prior to the medicine, they were struggling in life, sometimes debilitatingly so, suicidal. They say they have the plant medicine experience. They do the work after, which is really where the magic happens with guidance. And then they're integrating back into society as functional, joyful, happy people. So that's how we can help reduce stigma. I think talking to policy change definitely has been happening. Another great example, I have some ambassadors through Heroic Hearts that have been going over to Olympia here in Washington State, and they've been speaking to the politicians there, the lawmakers. Hey, here's the research. Here's a study on psilocybin and how it just knocked out people's depression like that. You can't argue with that. The science is there. We do have research, but we need to open it up even more. And if we just schedule these substances, we can have more research. So education, speaking to policy, sharing your story, because that's just so powerful. I think are, off the top of my head, some of the most powerful ways to change that stigma.
Wonderful. And how did you come to this kind of work of advocacy?
Oh, I love answering this question. I got into the mental health space many years ago due to a severe motorcycle accident, which caused a TBI, traumatic brain injury. So I was struggling just with basic functioning for a long time. And after doing a lot of my own research, a lot of my own recovery and healing through therapy and diet change, lifestyle change, I decided I really want to pay it forward. I want to give back and help people. So I pursued my master's degree in mental health with a focus on veterans, as they are near and dear to my heart. And then getting into the plant medicine space was a little bit of a separate thing, but piggybacking on mental health. So I was listening to some veteran podcasts, and I heard Jesse Gould's story. He's the founder of Heroic Hearts. He went to Peru, he consumed ayahuasca, and it really just defragged his brain, using his words, completely transformed his life. And I was so impressed and astounded by this dramatic change and permanent change. And he had been on the antidepressants and tried the typical VA care, and just really without success. So for me, that was it. And I reached out and I said, "Hey, Jesse, I would love to volunteer for the organization. How can I help?" And I had no experience whatsoever with psychedelics, but I saw in him the change and the transformation and the mental health benefits. So I thought, I have to be part of this. And that was about 4 years ago. And I've been involved ever since, just learning more and more, experimenting with the medicines myself and receiving benefits also. So it's been an incredible journey so far.
It's amazing. And what does it mean to be called
Mhm.
to the medicine?
Yes. Well, in a way, I think that was my calling, just hearing that podcast. I didn't even know I needed the medicine. I didn't even know that I had buried so much trauma from my past. And it's the medicine kind of comes to you when you're ready for it, as they say in the space, which might sound a little far-fetched or out there, but it's true. It's as if it's trying to find a way to say, hey, you might want to come be with me, try me, consume me, and let me help you. That's how it was with ayahuasca for me. I just kept hearing in circles, people talking about it, and it just was starting to resonate. This might be the type of medicine that I need, learning more about it, educating myself. And I think that's how the calling, it just, you feel it, and it's different than chasing the medicine, because some folks do that too, and that's not really healthy. They're trying to force the issue. But I feel like when you are at a space where you're ready, that medicine will come to you through another person, maybe through a podcast, maybe through a documentary, you know.
Yeah. And walk us through what is a ayahuasca journey like?
It is individual and unique for each person every time. Ayahuasca has a female or a feminine spirit. So that's why we refer to her as grandmother or mother ayahuasca. Because this beautiful plant medicine has been used by indigenous people down in South America for thousands of years, there's lineage there. it's important to respect that. So ideally, it should be consumed in a group ceremony with a shaman who is trained in that tradition. So typically it's about 10 to 12 people. Hopefully you're receiving preparation coaching before even going to the retreat or the ceremony, which is what Heroic Hearts provides. And then, so for example, one of the Heroic Hearts retreats is about 7 to 10 days. The medicine is consumed 3 days in a row. And then there's coaching and guidance throughout that retreat, before, during, after. So the medicine is consumed typically in the early evening, and the journey can last, depending on the person, 6 to 8 hours, maybe 5
Wow,
hours, versus just
that's a long
depending.
time.
It can be. It varies for everyone, but
Hmm.
really, it's. I mean, it's an MAOI based psychedelic, so it takes you on an inward journey. And if you have set intentions, which you should going in, ask the medicine, show me what I need to see. What is it with this trauma that I still haven't processed, or what traumas are still out there that I don't even know about, for example. So you go in with an intention, with some questions, and at the same time, you leave it up to the medicine to show you, because the medicine has the wisdom and will provide that. So
Yes.
it might be something that you didn't even expect. So as long as you just have that open-mindedness, there is often purging that comes with ayahuasca in the form of vomiting. It can be shaking, it can be crying, perspiring, having to use the restroom. All of these forms of release are normal and actually encouraged, because the medicine is helping you purge all that trauma, all that junk that's just been stored inside your body. So when you come down off afterward, it can be very intense for some people. It can be extremely challenging. It can be the most marvelous, joyful bliss you've ever experienced. It can be a mix. You just don't know. The important aspect is you have a coach, you have someone to guide you, a facilitator afterward, to integrate everything that happened. Because 3 nights of medicine, that's a lot of journeying. So I hope I'm explaining it fairly well, but
Very well.
yeah, it can be, it's different than psilocybin in that I wouldn't say there were so many visuals, at least for me.
Hmm.
But again, it's so different per person.
And I'd like to share that when I was in Latin America, I went to see a doctor who was able to prescribe changa, angos, which is mushrooms, and things like that. And it was great because I saw that there were these kind of different modalities that were available or becoming available. And what changed my life in 2020 August was I was with a guide who helped to administer DMT. And because of that experience, that changed my life for the best, for the better. I mean, already I was starting to do work in the mental health field, but then I became even more altruistic.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah, that's a common outcome I've seen, regardless of the medicine, that there is the participant has more connectedness with the world, has more sense of self-love, love for others, more empathy, which is beautiful. So I'm so happy to hear that happen for you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow. Was it 5-MeO?
It wasn't the toad uh
Oh, okay.
version of that.
Gotcha.
But it was like it was a it was a freebase of a plant medicine. Um,
But it was a pretty rapid, right? About
it was
20 minutes.
rapid.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah,
you're
yeah,
done.
and then going into hyperspace and
Wow.
seeing the fractals and the smell and almost the taste of geometry. If that makes any sense.
Wow, the taste of geometry. I'm going to borrow that quote for something incredible. Wow. I have yet to try that one. Although ayahuasca has DMT in it, but it's completely different than the toad venom.
Yeah. So prior to that experience, I was depressed. I had suicidal ideation, and after that, um, totally clear of it and feeling great and well in balance now. Um, I
Wonderful.
do take medications still, but not as many as I had to before. I mean, there was a period of time that I was taking 5 different kinds of medications, and through my experiences with different things like, psilocybin and other along those lines, things like that that we had talked about, helped to heal me. But I'm praying to the good Lord that these modalities come down the pike very soon to help the veterans, to help people with PTSD, help people who are suffering, and the help of humanity and advancement of of our people, the human race.
Amen.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Um, so let's talk about how people can help themselves these days through education and where they can find you to talk about these things or like to share.
Sure. So anyone can reach out to me at Heroic Hearts Project. It's just Jenny, Jenny, at heroicheartsproject.org. We serve only veterans currently. We would love to someday be more broad with our services. Unfortunately, the demand is so high, we have to keep it narrow. So right now we serve veterans who can trace their trauma back to combat and or MST, which is military sexual trauma, because we see a really high need in that population. As far as resources, so heroicheartsproject.org for veterans in particular. We are branching out into psilocybin too, as I mentioned, so it's not just ayahuasca. Psilocybin can be just as beneficial for mental health as ayahuasca. It's just a different medicine and it works in a different way. But as far as I would refer folks to psychedelicpassage.com. I worked for Psychedelic Passage for about 15 months, and I know the founders well. They are men of integrity, and they are all about serving the client. Client always comes first, and what they provide is everything that you need for prep and integration. You get a consult call with one of the concierges, and then they set you up with one of the facilitators in the network that is closest to your home, that resonates best with you. And this is a facilitator and a coach. So this person takes you through prep, sits with you in ceremony, keeps you safe, guides you through the process, then helps you integrate afterward. I just think it's a wonderful resource for civilians to tap into, because I trust it, and I would trust sending anyone to that website.
Wonderful. So thank you for being on the program, the Goldfinger Report, and with a special regard to the veterans and healing.
Thank you so much, Todd. I love that you found healing too. Thank you for helping spread the message. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. And talk to you next time.
Okay. Sounds good, Todd.
Much peace.
Much peace and love.
Thank you.